Welcome to Hannity. Days after Hillary Clinton accused Donald Trump of becoming ISIS's best recruiter, the GOP frontrunner is firing back in a huge way. I'm Mark Stein in for Sean. Last night, during a massive rally in Michigan, Donald Trump went after his Democratic rival by slamming her debate performance, questioning her honesty, and even poking fun at her mid-debate trip to the bathroom. Watch this.
You see Hillary, I mean, did you watch that? What happened to her? No, she's terrible. She's terrible. Donald Trump is on video, and ISIS is using him on the video to recruit. And it turned out to be a lie. She's a liar. And the last person that she wants to run against is me, believe me. Believe me. What happened to her? I'm watching the debate, and she disappeared. Where did she go? Where did she go? I thought she quit. I thought she gave up. Where did she go? Where did Hillary go? They had to start the debate without her. I know where she went. It's disgusting. I don't want to talk about it. No, it's too disgusting. Don't say it. It's disgusting. Let's not talk. We want to be very, very straight up, okay?
Joining me now to break down this developing feud between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump is Fox News contributor Kirsten, Fox News political analyst Juan, and Fox News contributor Tammy Bruce. So, presumably, Tammy, she was fact-checking ISIS videos during this alleged
Well, it's hard
break.
to know really what she was doing. I mean, look, she had what she started with, which was an opinion that he's, you know, is being used or can be used for ISIS recruitment. But then she had to go further. She had to do what Hillary does, which is exaggerate and go to the point of perhaps the lie. Right. And that's when she got into trouble. So I think that the campaign wants to use this theory that he's being used for recruitment, but then she went to the point of more drama. Right. We know this is her issue. This is not a debate. This is not a debate. She makes things up. The problem for the campaign is that it reminds the American people why she's so untrustworthy, why they don't like her, and why they think that she doesn't belong in the White House.
Well, let's just hear her today, earlier today, doubling down on her claim about Donald Trump.
What you're hearing from some of the Republicans, most particularly Mr. Trump, about Muslims is not only dangerous, it's shameful. And if you go on Arabic television, as we have, and you look at what is being blasted out with video of Mr. Trump being translated into Arabic, no Muslims coming to the United States, other kinds of derogatory, defamatory statements, it is playing into the hands of the violent jihadists.
Juan, isn't this ridiculous? I mean, ISIS uses snuff videos, people beheading people to recruit people. They don't use speeches by Donald Trump. He's got the better of this argument, don't you think?
Not at all. I'm kind of surprised that you and Tammy are you guys out here defending Donald Trump? Is that the point? Because the fact is, I don't think there's any argument in America that what Donald Trump has said on the stump has offended Muslims worldwide and is used by jihadists when they talk about the extreme positions of some Americans.
So you're saying that in Saudi Arabia, they're offended that Trump doesn't want Muslims to come to America, when in Saudi Arabia you go to jail if you're caught with the Bible, and there's a big sign on the interstate as you approach Mecca saying non-Muslims get off this exit.
Oh, I see. I guess you think Saudi America is the equivalent of the United States, but I love America, and I know America is not Saudi, and those are not the rules for Americans. So in America, you can say what you want, you can stay on the highway, Mark, but I do think that you are held accountable for what you say. And in this case, there's people who I think on the right would say, oh, this is indicative of Hillary's trouble with the truth. Look, that is fantastical. That is appealing to a larger issue for Hillary, which is very real, her honesty. But this, in fact, is the truth. He says awful things about Muslims that offends Muslims and fires up the worst of the most violent jihadists.
One of all people, you were fired by NPR for saying awful things about Muslims.
Yeah, I don't think it was so awful. I thought I spoke the truth, which is that I get scared if I see people in Muslim garb getting on a plane. But that's separate. I mean, I think you have to have an honest debate, and an honest debate would say, Mr. Trump, this is what you said. Buddy, you got to live with it.
Here's the problem, though. It's what Hillary said. She wasn't implying anything. She said there were recruiting videos. All fact checkers, Fox News, New York Times, have determined that to be false. That's the issue.
Kirsten, what's going on here? Are we getting a preview of how a Hillary-Trump presidential contest is going to go?
Yeah, I think we may be. I mean, it's interesting. You know, in a way, I think the attacks that he's making on her probably help her because she is probably dreaming of him making these sort of war on women type attacks, right? So she can play that card. I think on this issue of the accusation that she made, it seems to me have been based on a story that was sort of exaggerated. And so with the clip you played, though, she made it seem like she had seen it or somebody who was working for her had seen it. And so I think I agree with Juan to the extent that probably, you know, Trump is not great for the American image, but they do need to have some sort of evidence that someone's using this to recruit jihadists. I don't think that she can just go out and say that unless it is supported. And like you said, multiple fact checkers have said that there really isn't any evidence that this has happened. Doesn't mean it hasn't happened, but you know, they need to show that it has.
Let's have a look at this Quinnipiac poll, Kirsten, which is the latest update on what the American people make of Hillary's honesty. Would you say that Hillary Clinton is honest or trustworthy? No. 59%. Tammy, you seem to be saying it's just she couldn't resist. It's like when she claimed to have been named after Sir Edmund Hillary, the conqueror of Everest, who didn't conquer Everest till 5 years after she was born. It's a kind of strangely unnecessary lie to get into.
It's a compulsion. That's the problem. It's a habit. But in this case, you've got a problem because there is an ISIS recruitment video that now we've seen that features her husband and Barack Obama and John Kerry. So we have that. But my problem, I'm not on the Trump train. No. And yet there are events that are occurring that are having people like me have to defend him, reminding the average American that, wait a minute, there's a reason why we don't like the establishment. Donald Trump seems to be an alternative, and he ends up actually being right. He ends up perhaps not being what the left accuses him of being, but maybe they're doing some projection themselves.
To pick up that point, Kirsten, Tammy says she's not a Trump person. I don't suppose anybody in Yemen is a Trump person. Isn't the reality here that they actually don't know about Democrats or Republicans? They hate all the infidels. So, you know, in a sense, they hate Trump, yes, but they hate Bernie Sanders, and they hate Martin O'Malley, and they hate Francois Hollande. So why does this even matter in that sense, Kirsten?
Well, but I think that you could see a situation where they could, if they wanted to, and that's what the article that Hillary was citing was actually said. It wasn't that it had happened, but there were security experts that were saying this could be used. This is the type of thing that you could use to sort of prove, you know, it's just another nail in the coffin. It's not, it's not the cause of their hatred, but it's another way to show that Americans are anti-Islam or hate Muslims. And so that's actually what the article said. It didn't say that it actually had happened.
President Bush, Juan, said to me a terrific line. He should have put it on a bumper sticker about 8 or 9 years ago. I was with him, and the subject of things that offend the Islamic world came up, and he said, "Oh, you know, if it's not the Crusades, it's the cartoons." Meaning it can be anything from geopolitical conflict to a cartoon in an obscure Danish newspaper. So why worry about it all? I mean, isn't that actually the reality here?
No. I mean, why worry about it is a very interesting point of conversation, Mark, because for you and I, you know, for all of us here tonight, it was like, why worry about it? If it's just among us, we will speak freely. We'll have an honest debate, a very, very vigorous one. But the reality is we have Muslim allies in the world that we rely on for our security. We have people that we work with. We have Muslims among us in this country. They are our neighbors, they're fellow citizens, and there's no need to antagonize. And I think that's why President Bush, if you're talking about George W., immediately after 9/11 made it clear this is not a war against Islam, this is a war against the forces of evil in the world.
Yeah, but Tammy, there are limits to that. And don't you get the sense that that Trump's numbers among Republicans and Democrats, actually, for this subject, indicate that the American people would like they don't feel they're being told the truth when John Kerry says Paris is nothing to do with Islam.
Well, we've seen a decline in our safety. We've seen a decline in the condition of the world. We also know, and we agree, that, in fact, this is not every Muslim, that this is some weird cultic dynamic happening in Islam. As a result, we reject the idea that if you scratch the surface of the average Muslim, there's a genocidal jihadi underneath. That we can, in fact, have this conversation and condemn the Islamists without worrying that Muslims everywhere are going to turn against us. And yet, that is the liberal argument.
Right.
The liberal argument is, watch out, because they're all going to turn against us. Well, in fact, that is the argument we need to reject, and we've been told to reject. So we see the truth on the ground. That is what speaks to us.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. It's the liberal argument that says Islam is this monolith. Thanks a lot, guys. Great discussion.